Hi all. Everything in my videos is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourself, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. This is a follow-up to the wreath debacle because some more information has come to light, and I thought it was important to share it. Now, we all know that on Sunday, Meghan and Harry released pictures of themselves personally recognizing Remembrance Day by going to a Los Angeles National Cemetery to pay their respects. As I said before, this visit would have felt very heartfelt had they not brought along their own personal photographer. And in the pictures, it looks like they have the entire 114-acre cemetery all to themselves. Harry and Meghan have denied that this was a publicity stunt, and he's upset that he couldn't lay a wreath in his name at the cenotaph in London. And of course, the Sugars had a field day with this. He's a military vet. Why can't he lay a wreath? Why do you have to be so petty? And of course, we all know the answer to this. He is no longer a serving member of the royal family, and that's his choice. So he no longer represents the Queen or the army or his regiment or anybody else. But I think it's slowly beginning to hit him in the head that he's really walked out. What it comes down to for these two is something I saw in an article, and I'd love to quote them, but I can't find the article. But what it comes down to essentially is that they're banking on who they were, not who they are, and on what they've done in the past, and not what they're planning on doing in the future. Now, as I've said in previous videos, it appears that these two are competing with the royal family. Whenever somebody in the royal family does something, they do something. And we knew from the pictures that there was discrepancies because on Remembrance Day in California, it was rainy and windy and overcast, and these pictures are in sun. And then we found out that you had to have a permit to go and take those photos. It's pretty obvious when you look at these photos that Harry is trying to carve out a spot for himself here in the United States. And he's realizing that he can only validate himself when he's in front of a camera or a crowd and he's making money. And when you look at the photos, they're standing there kneeling, mask on, mask off. It's pretty obvious that these were just completely staged. They probably had hundreds of photos and just chose the ones that they liked. So I'm going to quote something in the Daily Mail because it's spot on. They said, "It was only a morning's work, but it gave them world a glimpse into who they think they are, how they're doing, and what they hope to become. For once, the concept of public duty is gone, and they are no longer serving the monarchy or a country. So what's left? Only the mirage of empty gestures and symbolism as they play act being royal for an easily pleased audience." So as you all know, you had to get permission to go into the cemetery. There was a permit involved. You can't just go in there, I don't care who you are. And it would appear at this time that Harry and Meghan did get the requisite permits. So what came out on Twitter was that somebody called under a ruse and got the cemetery director to admit that the permits were secured well ahead of Remembrance Day. So in other words, this was a publicity stunt because Harry and Meghan took the pictures days earlier and held on to them and released them on Remembrance Sunday so that everybody would feel sorry for them. So just in case you're confused on the timeline, they went ahead, got the permits, went to the cemetery, took the photos, waited a few days for Remembrance Sunday, made their request for the wreath, and then released the photos, which, by the way, have already been sold to Cosmopolitan magazine. Now, on another note, let me just say that We Are the Mighty has listed Harry as one of the strongest 25 leaders and passionate advocates and the biggest disruptors of 2020. It's presented by somebody in the Navy, I believe it is. Now, I'm perfectly fine with that. You list him to anything you want. Give him accolades all you want. But they've listed him as HRH, Prince Harry, which is against the Megxit agreement, because when Harry was notified that he was going to go on this list, he specifically could have said, please don't use my HRH. But he didn't. On top of that, when you look at the 25 people that are listed, they're all in photos by themselves, unless they're with somebody else. Like, for instance, Tracy and Jerry Flanagan are in the photo together, but then they're both listed on the list. Donna and Lauren, they're both listed on the list. But somehow, Harry couldn't have this honor on his own. Megan had to be in the photos. A couple of housekeeping items. A sugar made it onto my wall, wrote some really nasty things on several of my videos. I've reported them to YouTube, and she is now gone. I'm not sure what they did, but she's gone. Please feel free to report anybody who's acting inappropriately and writes inappropriate things. Now, with that said, my next housekeeping item is to let you all know that I have been accused of bullying Megan. And I just want to say that I have every right to critique your behavior if you're in the public eye. I have not called her names. I have not incited riots or told people to throw things at her. I'm simply critiquing her behavior, and that's my right. I hope you all have a fabulous day, as always, and don't forget to leave your comments below.